virtually. And thank you for the feedback to those of you who let us know that we were you were more likely to be able to attend virtually. So we're happy to accommodate you in that way. And as much as we'd like to see you in person at an event sometime soon, glad that this is able to reach a few more of you going virtual. So topic of today, we're hoping you find timely information here after the announcements yesterday, talking about beyond tariffs, strengthening your construction business for growth and stability. So we'll do a quick set of introductions just on who we are and give you an idea of what we're going to be covering, though. We've got Craig Eric, who's going to go through some of the U.S. tariffs, some of the impact related to the construction industry, particularly looking at this from the VRCA perspective. We'll talk about some strategies. And then I'm going to be taking you through the Acumatica construction product and showing you how some of these are things that you can take on within that product with some easy setup and using some out-of-the-box functionality. And then finally, we'll just tell you a little bit more about who the Answer Company is and exactly what we do. And happy to take your questions at the end as well. So to start out with, we'll do some introductions. Craig, I'll let you kick things off here.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Craig Larkins. I'm the Director of Advocacy and Engagement here at the VRCA, located in the Lower Mainland in Vancouver. We represent about 1,000+ members here in the Lower Mainland, mainly in the ICI commercial construction. So we're doing a lot of the hospitals, buildings downtown, the towers that you see, a lot of the community infrastructure that you see every day in the built environment. And my job is to it's been interesting for the past 3 months is to kind of keep track on the tariffs. They are ever evolving and respond how we can in the best ways and offer resources.
Darren, are we having some technical issues? I don't hear Craig.
Very thankful to be here today.
Sean, I just got some audio, you saying that you couldn't hear Craig. We can hear you. Hopefully you're able to respond and introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Sean Offsheimer. I'm the president here at the Answer Company. Welcome, everyone.
And my name is Darren Reddies. I'm the COO at the Answer Company. I've been here for a while now and working with companies in a lot of industries, but really spending a lot of time with construction-related companies for the past few years. So with that, I'm going to hand things over to you, Craig, and I'll hide my ugly mug for a little here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's dare I say it's been an interesting 3 months since we rolled into 2025 with the Trump administration taking power, and really the word of the day or the past 3 months would be uncertainty and really not knowing what's happening next. It's been ever evolving, changing one day to the next. But April 22nd, as President Trump called it, the Liberation Day for the United States. And, you know, a lot of Canadians and government officials weren't expecting what we saw yesterday as far as announcement. It is a good and a bad, I guess you could say, but we're definitely not out of the woods just yet. So Prime Minister Carney just met with all provincial and territorial leaders last night. He had a news conference today, and he says that Canada will strike back with countermeasures to Trump's tariffs. So those are in addition to the counter tariff measures that went into play in March 4th. If you recall, there was about $30 billion worth of U.S. goods that were put under a blanket tariff. And Prime Minister Carney is saying those will stay in place until all tariffs are removed. So President Trump, new tariffs hit dozens of countries, but Canada and Mexico were spared from most. Trump, again, a 10% baseline tariff on imports from most countries. We were not included, so goods under the Canada-U.S.-Mexico agreement are still exempt from the new tariffs. A lot of people asking what those are. I think we're going to see a lot of those details fleshed out in the next couple of days. So pay attention to, obviously, the VRCA's resources and email blast. Check your inbox for a lot of information related to the tariffs. One thing we would like to point out, though, there are still existing tariffs on Canadian-made vehicles. steel and aluminum that are still in place. Very concerning for our industry. And as of this morning, a 25% tariff on vehicle imports to the US is now live on that. So Canada is unfortunately included in that. So there will be a ripple effect. I mean, that we're looking at the global economy as a whole now, and that will, the 10% tariffs right across the world will definitely have an impact. It'll be interesting to see the next couple months as we see these conditions roll out. So I wanted to talk about a quick little chart here we have from our friends at the Canadian Construction Association. They did share in some of the webinars, and we'll share those coming up a little later. So Canada's import dependence, 40 most used construction materials. So if you're looking at this chart here on the left-hand side up there, you can see the 100% all the way down to the bottom right there. These are the dots are the colors of the supplies and materials that we do use in the industry. So on the left of your screen there, that purple, right on the line there, it says ready mix construction. You can see that we don't rely on trade for the construction here in the industry. But further right, you head to the right side there, you can see the most extreme, and I have heard this talked about a lot, is the electric light bulbs. And tubes, and a lot of that being used in office settings and homes as well. So you can see as we hit the middle, really on the left side of the screen there, the purples and the blues, less dependent, but as further as we move to the right there, we have metal values, and you can see carpets and rugs and such. So very dependent on some things, not so much on other things, but it's a great chart that really lays out where we sit as an industry, and it's a total use of 40 of the most used construction materials. And of course, yes, this was shared by our friends from the Canadian Construction Association, and they got this chart actually from Statistics Canada before we published it. So we can send that out. I'm sure the team at Answer Company can share that with you if you do have any questions regarding that. So I wanted to dive into some of the stuff we've been talking about here at the association. We have actually, part of our job is to meet with local municipalities, whether we're talking regionally, we're talking to provincial officials, and our friends at the Canadian Construction Association also dealing with the federal side. So a membership of VRCA gets you all three levels of representation when we're talking advocacy efforts. We have been on talking about this issue for several months. We've hosted a few webinars. We've sent information out to our members, and I think the biggest or I guess the most important piece of advice is to review your contracts and read your contracts. So it's now more than ever, it's critical to understand every clause in your contract. And again, we are not lawyers, but we can offer the advice. And I do recommend, if you do have more legal questions, to talk to your legal team. So yes, review your contracts, understand non-CCDC contracts. And if you don't know what the CCDC contracts are, you can head to the Canadian Construction website and review that. It is your guide. It is the industry standard clause for duty-related provisions when we're talking about the CCDC2 and GC 10.1 contract that lays out all the information, standardized contracts. So definitely check out the website for more information. And of course, as a member, if you are a member of the VRCA, you do get access to all this information with part of your membership. So just switching over to the next slide. We're talking about trade contractors as well. It's that same theme. Understand your contracts. Read your contracts. When we're talking mitigation efforts or doing any notification, whether you're kind of going that back and forth, please remember to provide that timely notice. It is changing day to day, everything we're seeing. So we like to say here at the VRCA, you know, some are calling this a crisis. It's an opportunity. And a lot of people are using this to take a step back and really fully understand contracts, how it works, and really start communicating, whether it be with your developers and GCs, and of course, transparency and pricing. We were talking about in one of our webinars, the best thing to do is read your receipts and keep all your receipts, whether it be a screen grab from a text message to an email, compile a nice little file so that you are prepared if it does go down that legal road. And then heading over to the manufacturers and suppliers, supply chain delays and material costs. Again, read your contracts, review existing orders. Costs are already going up. We know that already. So don't let contract uncertainty make things worse for you. Be very transparent in your conversations. At the end of the day, communication is key. If you have questions and you don't want to sign on the dotted line just yet, make sure you do talk to your lawyers. So what you can do right now, review your bid documents carefully, tooth and comb, negotiate cost recovery mechanisms before signing, and talk to your legal team. Again, don't go it alone. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of changes. But again, the crisis, the opportunity is in the crisis for you to better prepare, for you to be a better negotiator, and for you to understand thoroughly what your contract says and what the ever-evolving Trump administration's decisions could make as far as tariffs. I mean, we have 4 years of his administration, while we were given a sort of a reprieve yesterday in certain contexts, of course, without aluminum and steel. You don't know what's coming up next, and we could see things change very quickly in the coming months or weeks. So, yeah. I'll hand it over to you, Darren, I believe.
Great. Thanks, Craig. And we were listening keenly to one of the VRCA's recent webinars where they were really talking about this. These were all things that made a lot of sense to us. And we, on behalf of our customers now, are starting to look at exactly how we can provide this when we talk about, that move from hindsight to foresight. So some of the things that really stuck out to me, in hearing some of these presentations is that whole need for really visibility and the visibility across everything that's going on. And right now we're talking about really the visibility specifically to tariffs and counter tariffs that are going to be coming through. So how do we bring that through and make sure that it's going to come through? Understanding costs is something that we've always put a lot of emphasis on, but there's always another layer to bring in here. We're going to go through some of these in a little bit more detail in just a moment, but part of the piece, the building blocks to make this happen, we know, is having a strong technology infrastructure that's going to allow some flexibility where the tools are there, and that allows you to go and quickly adapt. These are things that are changing, it seems almost hourly at times, and so you need to be able to pivot quickly. So some specific topics, that we'll get into. This first slide, we'll talk is really, I would say, just more of a general. This isn't something that's necessarily changed. It's just there's another layer on top of this. But we know that you need to be able to capture all of your costs in a timely manner. And that now means also capturing those additional costs. And we'll talk about how you are capturing those, storing those, and then providing the visibility. And visibility, I really mean to your own finance team, visibility to your project managers, so they understand what's happening. And again, as these things change, knowing what's happening to your costs as a result, and then visibility to your partners. So whether you're sub needing to provide visibility to the GC, or your builder and you're providing this to the owner, whatever it is, we know that you're working with people. You need to be able to share this information quickly and easily. So really, again, the cost capture goes beyond just tariffs and goes beyond just materials. We're talking about everything here, but what we're going to focus on today is really looking at how tariffs are going to affect this. And there's really two parts to this. We'll talk about bidding, and then we're going to talk about actually tracking the costs and being able to share these as well too. I love this quote, and again, this is from the VRCA's previous presentation: "The person with the most paperwork wins." We know that to be true, and it's not just having the paperwork; it's having the paperwork and being able to find it, being able to quickly present this to support as costs change, and again, provided that you've got pieces in your contract to cover you for this, you still need to be able to bring that paperwork up easily. So we did feel it's necessary probably to just explain exactly what we're talking about when we're bringing up this name Acumatica, and specifically for today, the Acumatica Construction Edition. So Acumatica is a cloud ERP solution. Companies based out of Seattle. We've been working with Acumatica now for, I guess it's maybe coming up in about 9 years at this point, with the construction edition being one of the important sectors that we serve with the Acumatica solution. By no means the only one though too. So if you're attending right now and you are a manufacturer and you are producing for the construction industry, if you're a distributor bringing in materials for the construction industry, there are additions to cover each of these as well too. But it's a strong ERP that we really like working with, and specifically for the construction edition, it helps you manage the projects, budgets, change orders, the job costs, provides you that one central hub really for all of this. So we're going to jump into product here. And really there's there's really the two topics that I'm wanting to cover and take a look at. One is that transparency on bidding. So we know that just going and increasing the amount, on your materials by 25% doesn't really work either. If you've got competitors that maybe haven't done that, and depending on the way the contract's written, what you want to be able to do is absolutely cover for this and make sure that you're showing. You can see what those duties are as currently known, and have the flexibility so that should things like those counter tariffs change tomorrow, that you can quickly change your bid, and all of your bids that are going to be affected by this as well too. And then the second part, as I said, that whole idea of the person with most paperwork wins. Well, let's take a look at how you can capture and store all of those duty charges, brokerage charges, etc., and have those as things that you can quickly bring up to support you as you're going through. So at this point, I'm going to leave the slide deck for a moment, and I'm going to jump into the product. I think that's coming out okay now. I'm just in one of the landing pages, one of the starting points for Acumatica right now. This represents one of the ways that you can view Acumatica. You can see we've got a number of pieces of information that are going to be important. This is tailored as part of an implementation so that we determine what it is you need to be seeing on a daily basis, what each of your users needs to be seeing. I've already brought up the key screens that I want to show you today, really to cover those two topics. So I'm just going to jump straight to those. And I'm going to start then with the project quotes, which is where we're storing the bids for this. So within the project quote or bid that I've got here, you can see I've got this built out. I've got my hourly, I've got my lump sums. There's going to be all of the pieces in this, and included in this, I can be going in and putting in my inventory IDs as well too. So there's an inventory module available. I can be going and I can be tracking my inventory, but importantly, by using product codes on here, now I can go and start to assign certain behaviors with that too. So not only things like costs, that sort of thing associated with it, but also then things like taxes or duties. And that's really the way we envision going and covering this, is setting up just another tax code to be able to cover that extra duty and then provide the visibility. So if I jump to where I've set up the duty in my demonstration system to go through this with you, you can see I've gone and I've created one I'm calling Orange Duty. And then I've got a start date on this, and I'm going to put, it's labeled as tax rate, but we're using this for a duty rate then as well. I'm calculating this at a line level, meaning that it's going and looking at each item and saying, okay, does the duty apply to that item? And then I can have the start date, and I can also then put a not valid after date too. So should these duties be lifted, we can very quickly go in and just change, just put a not valid after whatever date. And immediately your bids are going to change then. And what comes out then is if I go back to that bid and print it out, oops, and it's going to just make me log in again because I've just been in for too long, I guess. One moment. Now you can tell that I'm actually live here because there we go. All right, and I'm going to jump to the end because if you'll recall, that was the very last item that I had on the bid. And the quote or bid, I mean, again, these are things that can be modified, as you wish and to show what it is you want. But what we've done here is just to say, okay, I want full transparency on my bid to be able to see specifically for each item if there's any taxes that are going specifically on that, and if there's any duties. So you'll see that then after that air conditioner, that's part of my bid here, Then I've got, in this case, it's an HST that I've got there, but this could be PST, whatever it is. And then I've got my duty as well. Now, those are also showing up in my total. How you want it displayed there is up to you. But this then provides that visibility on your bid that here's what the actual cost is for each of these items. And then specifically, here is the cost based on the duties that we see coming into place. And that way, as you're sending these bids, people know that these are things that could be changing as well. So the other part that we'll talk about then is that idea of paperwork, keeping the paperwork, having that paperwork available to be shown. And I'm going to take a look. And so this is a project that's busy running. The details around this project we can see on the summary, but the commitments tab is going and keeping track of all those commitments as we're going through. So every time we're making a purchase, it's linked into this project. This is that whole idea of the real time and coming through. And with Acumatica, it's linked multiple layers deep on this too. And that's how this paperwork comes together. So we can see then that we've got the purchase orders in place. I could drill in from there. I've just gone ahead and brought up one of those purchase orders right away, though, which is 1325. We've got the details around that. But again, as I talk about going layers deep, as the invoices come in, then we can see here's the bill from the supplier for this, for the actual goods or services, what have you. But as these come in, obviously for the supplier, we typically just have the amount for this. We'd then be paying a customs broker, and we'd have the additional pieces. Now, every piece of paperwork that comes in related to this can be attached. And in this case, I've got then two attachments. Just take a moment here. I can see that. So let's try one more time. I may just need to reload my page here again. There we go. And now I can see that I've got both my actual invoice for the goods and then a customs document as well too. Now the point being that as you're going and attaching these documents in, and at this point we're attaching it down to the accounts payable level, these are all going to flow through and up to the project. And there's a process that we can then run, which is the substantiated billing, to go in and show exactly what the costs were and everything that came through. So we've got everything summarized in the cost transactions. This is just going and pulling again through that chain, through the commitments, and then seeing the bills that have come through. And within the substantiated billing, then we'll get the full set of supporting documents, so that if we go through, we've got the invoice, and then here again is that invoice from Canada Border Services Agency that we're using as our backup for this. So as I said, important that, first of all, we have a way to account for it, a way to capture this, and then a way to very quickly recall this and provide transparency out to the partners on this as well. All right, let me just switch back to our PowerPoint here. And Sean, at this point, I'm going to hand this over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Darren. Yeah, before kind of jumping a little bit into who we are, I actually thought, Darren, maybe it would be interesting to kind of point out that, much of what we just showed is just standard out-of-the-box functionality. I think what we've seen in the current times is a lot of uncertainty in terms of where tariffs might be applied, what the rates are. And so maybe you could just speak to a little bit of kind of how you were able to relatively easily accommodate those things in prepping for this presentation.
Yeah, didn't prep for that question, but sure, I can certainly answer it. So they usually don't let me touch the keyboard too much at this point in my career, but in this case, I did prep this, and it is because it is quite straightforward to go ahead and do this. This what we've shown here now to deal with tariffs is absolutely just taking building blocks that are built in Acumatica that work around a number of different ideas. So certainly that idea of substantiated billing, that's not something that's new with tariffs. The only thing is, what documents are we storing? There was absolutely nothing to do there other than to go ahead and attach a customs, a CBSA document in there, and that automatically then got pulled into that substantiated billing. And as you saw, for having that transparency on the bidding, really the key thing was just going and saying, okay, taxes will cover this as well too. And just, getting over, I guess, the fact that it says taxes and realizing that it can be taxes and duties. It's taxes and extra charges that we want the visibility to. The only change that was made from just a pure out-of-the-box solution was to go in and say that on the line items, we want to have that visibility to see that duty under each line. And so that was something that we went and put in about 30 minutes time.
Oh, that's great. I think that provides some insight. So as Darren mentioned, my name is Sean Ossheimer, the president here at The Answer Company, and obviously we're hosting the session today. And so I thought it would be valuable in just providing a little bit of context of who we are and what our role is as it relates to working with our customers in the construction industry. So we have been in business now for over 30 years, started the company originally here in Vancouver. We're Vancouver based, but we have been able to expand our practice across Canada. Obviously today's discussion is really focused on BRCA and BC-based construction organizations. But we do have a broad base of experience. As Darren mentioned, one of the things we really like about Acumatica is while we support the construction industry, we also see, within construction, there's often organizations that have a field service requirement. More and more, we're seeing construction companies that are also doing prefabrication, which looks a lot like being a manufacturing company. And so having a single product platform that's able to support a diverse set of functional requirements without a lot of bolt-ons or integrations has become, something that's really compelling for a lot of our customers. Next slide. So as an Acumatica partner, obviously our credentials are important. We do have a number of kind of recognition from Acumatica as us being really a trusted Canadian partner and somebody that you can invest in. We are Canadian owned and operated, so obviously in today's date, something that's particularly important. We're also a certified Procore partner. We do often see our construction customers using Procore. So that's been a really valuable partnership for us, and one that, as we're talking to customers, the fact that we're able to kind of understand that platform and understand how organizations are using it allows us to really provide some guidance in terms of how Acumatica is going to be configured to adequately and ideally support solutions like Procore. So we are a full service provider. The journey really starts with companies reaching out to us one way or the other, interested in potentially evaluating Acumatica, and often come to us without necessarily a clear vision for what all their key business requirements are. So we'll work with those organizations really in a sales capacity. We're not charging for this, where we'll spend time with the prospective customer looking to really understand their business, understand what some of those key needs are. Obviously, there's been a big push to move to the cloud. And then we see things like what's currently going on as being catalysts for organizations recognizing maybe they've outgrown legacy systems, or maybe they've outgrown entry-level systems, and it's time to really evaluate something more robust and something in the cloud like Acumatica. And we'll take the customer through the entire journey of selecting, implementing, and then really be their first line of support through the life cycle of the usage of the Acumatica platform. So we certainly like to talk about our customers. We've got a variety of customers. NAHF is an organization that builds condominiums. They've seen some real significant benefits from the Acumatica platform. We have a number of integrations, including an integration to Stack for managing the rental properties. And this is an organization that continues to grow and is happy to talk to prospective customers. And then we do have a wide variety of additional customers and logos that may be recognized here, just to kind of attest to the type of organizations that are investing in Acumatica and running their business on Acumatica, covering everything from GCs to specialty contractors. And so all organizations that are happy to talk to prospective customers and attest to the strength that Acumatica brings to their business.
Great. I think at this point we'll hand it back to Craig for a little bit, and then we'll take some questions.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly point out, we were talking about the short term and what to do in the now. And I think it's important also, part of what we do here at the VRCA is we look at the long term and that strategy. So prepare yourself, but also really look to the future. Because again, the uncertainty will still exist. We have a new government coming into play. We're in the middle of a federal election as well. So depending on which leader gets elected in April, things could change yet again. Our working relationship could change. So just keep that in mind. Plan now, look for the opportunity again in that crisis. So when we're talking long term, when we're meeting with municipalities, we're meeting with elected officials here at the association, we're trying to manage today's risks, but we're also planning for the future health of the industry. So we as an association are committed to working with partners nationally, provincially, and regionally to advocate for fair and sustainable trade policies, diversified supply chains. There's a lot of talk right now about investment in trade infrastructure. So it's really nice to see. And when I say the opportunity in the crisis, those are the opportunities, government really stepping up, and greater support for contractors navigating the uncertainty of that is happening right now. So the bottom line, we need to strengthen the construction sector's resilience so BC builders can keep building no matter what. So here's what we've been doing as of recently, since we've started the tariff conversation. We did have a series of webinars. We had two most recently, and then we have another one. So we had one back in February. It was kind of an introduction to what's happening. March 19th, we had a cross-divisional meeting. It was a great conversation. We created a space for everyone to feel safe enough to ask questions, as you should today. And then today, actually, at 3 o'clock, there's another webinar hosted by our partners at the British Columbia Construction Association. It's the day after, really going to break down what happened, what's next, and how it impacts the construction industry. All of these are VRCA member only webinars. So if you do want access, please reach out. We can set you up with a membership, and you can get access to these webinars. And of course, ongoing throughout the next couple of months, we'll continue to update and host the webinar sessions. On to the next slide, please. So we do have a lot of resources as well. We put out for members. A lot of it is, at the end of the day, is read your contract. There's a lot of information from the BCCA as far as U.S. tariffs, and then our national organization, who's really been at the forefront of this, preparing your business for potential tariffs. Again, we try to look at the opportunity in the crisis, and the government of Canada also has a ton of tools and information. I actually jumped on the other day just to look at the complete list of the tariffs that are in place for the U.S. It's an interesting list. You should give it a check. All you can do is just Google current Canadian tariffs in place on the U.S. and just read through if there's anything that impacts you. And it's interesting to see how much we rely on each other for trade and how much impacts industry as well. So yeah, if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to me here at the VRCA. Again, I'm the Director of Advocacy, dealing with this on a daily situation. So yeah, thank you again for having me.
Well, and thank you for all of the materials, and thank you for all your hard work, Craig. Much appreciated. At this point, love to take a few questions. I think we got a little bit of time right now. And I think there may already be something in the chat here. So I'm just going to take a quick look. Sorry. Oh, here we go. So first question I've got here is, what are the biggest advantages of Acumatica Cloud ERP compared to traditional construction management tools? It's a good question, and it's a fair question too. I will say, we've been in business obviously for a lot longer than just the time that we've been working with Acumatica. So certainly we're familiar with a lot of other tools that are out there. There's a couple of things that I can offer on this. First of all, we have a tremendous amount of faith in Acumatica and what it can do, and it being really a path forward. And for that reason, we made the decision about a year ago to focus exclusively on the Acumatica product. And the reason for that is that we're looking at the landscape of products that are out there that serve not only this industry, but other industries. And Acumatica is a product that is new and dynamic. It's been around long enough now that we know that it has the tools that are required, but it's a cloud, it's a modern cloud solution, and it's a company that's continuing to invest. So as opposed to some products that certainly we've worked with in the past that, maybe were good back in the day, but then kind of just sat on the shelf and continued to stay in that same state, we see big changes and big improvements in the Acumatica product, release after release, which just means that we can serve our customers with a lot of confidence, knowing that not only does it take care of them now, but it allows them to continue growing and scaling. And as things change, Acumatica is changing along with them.
Yeah, I would just add, I think part of Acumatica being in the cloud, obviously we're hearing a lot around AI. And so Acumatica is a platform being able to incorporate more and more AI and really to drive kind of some of the advancements that every company is looking for, and certainly will add benefits to construction organizations. This is really something that that we see as being a real driver going forward, is the ability to incorporate AI into the ERP and really drive decision support.
Yeah. Second question I've got here is, what should construction companies look for when evaluating ERP solutions? This is actually a deeper topic than it might seem to begin with. So I can answer this at a high level. We've actually done entire presentations just specifically on this topic. Because it really is one of those things that's so personal to get into. But at a high level, some of the things I just spoke about in terms of the strengths of Acumatica are absolutely things that I would encourage you to look at. Has the product been around for a long enough time that you know that it's stable and that it will have taken care of a lot of the key things that you've got? And at the same time, is this a product that is modern? Is it something that you can see is growing and changing? Take a look and see what are the latest release notes. What are the things that they've announced that are on the roadmap? These are key things, and I would say kind of baseline items to look at. As you start to get into, if you're actually in the mode of selecting ERP solutions, one of the things Sean spoke to is something that I will say it becomes really quite critical, and that's understanding exactly what it is you need to do and then looking for fit after that. It's easy to get pulled in to a demo where you see a lot of things that look like they might help, and I refer to them as shiny trinkets. It's these things that look cool, but until you understand exactly how this is going to affect your organization, they're just that. They're things that look cool without necessarily a return on investment that's associated with it. So I would encourage companies to go and do the homework, and absolutely we can assist with that. It's not something where you need to buy from us first to do that. We're happy to work with you. We will give you the perspective, though, of somebody who actually does do these implementations in terms of what you're looking at. But our perspective is to go and determine what the business case is, determine where you're coming from, where you're wanting to go to, and then to try to link a technology stack to each of those transformations that you're looking for. And looking not just what you're wanting to transform in the here and now, but what you've got on your roadmap too. Where's your company going within the next 5 years?
Darren, it looks like that's it, and as it relates to questions.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all so much again for attending. I hope you found this information helpful. If you'd like to follow up with us later by email or by phone, I know we're sharing out the materials from this, and certainly sharing out contact information as well. We'd be happy to follow up with you one-on-one if that's of interest.
And Craig, thanks for your time today. Thanks for participating.
Yes, of course, anytime.
Thank you.